Live from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Tashwan Tyson in the VON Major News Package for today, Monday 28th October 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, 11 police officers complete computer training course, and Ministry of Agriculture raises concerns over food wastage in St. Kitts. Regionally, audit reveals decades of government waste in USVI. Internationally, IS leader dead after US raid in Syria, says President Donald Trump. And in sports, Oklahoma Thunder beats Warriors and records their first victory for the season. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, VON.
Welcome back on all the national news in detail. The Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force, in its efforts to serve and protect the community, continues to strengthen its institutional capacity. 11 police officers and 1 traffic warden have completed a 6-week basic computer training course undertaken by the Force Personnel's Office. The course is aimed at preparing officers, wardens, and civilian members of staff to utilize the computer-based data collection systems being put in place. At the end of the course, the Outstanding Training Award went to Wendell Edwards. The course was facilitated by Technical Operations Coordinator for the force, Sherman White. Following the course, a graduation ceremony was held at the Police Training School on Friday 25th October, where Assistant Commissioner of Police with the responsibility for operations, Adolph Adams, congratulated the trainees on their new skills. He told them that such training will aid their fight against crime in an age of computer and technology. The Force Personnel Officer, Clifford Govire, also registered his sentiments to the trainees, telling them that they had demonstrated the understanding that computers are fundamental to the crime-fighting effort. The Ministry of Agriculture on St. Kitts says it is concerned over the wastage of food in the Twin Island nation. Mr. Melvin James, Director of Agriculture on St. Kitts, explained that there are 3 broad categories of food wastage that the authorities are concerned about.
Before, and we have in the field itself before you harvest, and we have focused on that a lot over the years. Pests and diseases, they sometimes damage the product before you and sometimes make it unmarketable. The focus is so much more now on not just pests and diseases, but larger animals, what we call feral animals. I think in the Nevis context, they are donkeys. But here in St. Kitts, we have wild pigs, and both countries would have monkeys. And monkeys can do considerable damage. And the third thing that I want to focus on is for us to look at things at the table, things at home. And very affluent societies are very guilty of wasting a lot of food. We too waste a lot of food, in that a lot of times half or less of what is served to a family may end up not being utilized. Both the Department of Agriculture and the Nutrition Unit, in fact, a lot of persons.
In a survey conducted in 2018 on St. Kitts, they found out that some 200,000 pounds of food valued at about $531,000 was lost to pigs and monkeys, affecting some 24 farmers and some 13 crops island-wide. This, he said, amounted to about 1 month's supply of food in the Federation that was lost to monkeys and pigs. The director expressed that the department continues to work with the farmers to assist in some of the areas that crops are being wasted, but had this admonition for consumers.
Both the Department of Agriculture and the Nutrition Unit, in fact, a lot of persons who are in the media, these are good discussions for us to continue to sensitize our people that we should really be more conscious and try to reduce our wastage. There's some people, they cook a lot of food to last for 7 days, but they're not eating any food that is older than 2 days. So definitely, the other food that you have for 5 days, you're going to dump it. And so our concept of affluence and wealth and having arrived makes us think that it's okay. But really and truly, it's wastage.
Mr. Melvin James. The public here in Nevis will see an increase in water on the island in the coming year. The Nevis Island Administration will, in 2020, be installing a filtration system at the well in the Hamilton area. This development comes following a drought period that the island has been experiencing since the first quarter of 2019. The well was one of 3 that was dug during a drilling expedition via contract with Bede LLC. Of the 3 wells that were dug in Fothergills, Maddens and Hamilton, only the previous 2 were commissioned. Manager of the Nevis Water Resource Management Unit, Mr. Floyd Robinson, explained that the filtration system is necessary as the iron and manganese content were high at the Hamilton well, making the well unsafe for human consumption.
This is really why this project is different to any other project, in that the success of this gas.
What we're currently doing is a filtration system that we are looking to install that would remove the excess iron and manganese to reduce any chances of any health issues. The well at Hamilton would add an extra 500,000 gallons, that's 500,000 gallons per day to the system. And as we have been experiencing lower rainfall, hotter days and stuff, we realize that during the dry periods, we struggle a lot in terms of keeping the water supply going for divisions. And so this filtration system, which we expect to come online by early next year, first quarter of next year, would remove the excess of manganese and iron, like I mentioned, but also bring online 500,000 gallons of water per day extra.
Mr. Robinson also explained to this media house how the $500,000 system operates.
The filtration system is basically a package system that comes, there are 5 vessels that sit inside of a 40-foot container, and it has a natural material, silica, basically sand. And so as the water comes in, the water would be injected with some chlorine and some sodium hydroxide, and that's just a chemical process necessary for an initial reaction to basically take the manganese and the iron out of solution, make it a visible material, big enough that when it goes through the filtration process, it will be removed in that respect.
He further noted that the system is designed to reduce water wastage.
Part of the process is also for us to have a backwash system. So, of course, if you're filtering something, then the medium becomes, let's just say, full of the material that you're filtering. And so part of the system is for us to backwash. So we have 5 containers, and they can be individually backwashed. So while 4 are filtering, 1 can be cleaned, and that process continues. We take water offline, we filter, we backwash it. The system is designed to really reduce wastage. So even that backwash water will be passed a second time to the filtration system to capture as much of that water as we possibly can. And the byproduct, the iron and the manganese, will be put into what's called a dewatering box. And in the dewatering box, the water will be drained out, and the water runs into a sump well, and that water again will be passed back another time to the system. So really the system allows for very little wastage. The solid material will then be picked up in the container and taken to the landfill where it will be deposited.
Mr. Floyd Robinson. A team from the Rouse Foundation in Carlton, Georgia, visited Nevis to see patients with heart issues and other related matters. The team, led by Dr. Charlie Rouse, a board-certified cardiologist, along with his wife, Dr. Deirdre Rouse, gerontologist, and Miss Ursula Phillip, executive director of the Rouse Foundation, held its final screening on Saturday, October 26, 2019, at the Disaster Management Department at Long Point. 19 persons were screened by clinical professions. Services offered were BMI, blood pressure, glucose and cholesterol checks, as well as free individual consultation with the cardiologist. The VON Newsline spoke to Dr. Charlie Rouse after the screening.
There's a very close relationship between eating cholesterol-laden foods, fried foods, starchy foods, and the development of heart disease, because those types of eating habits can lead to high blood pressure and diabetes, and those things in turn lead to heart attacks and strokes. It's critically important to reduce the amount of carbs that you consume because it reduces your likelihood of developing diabetes. And when I say carbs, I'm speaking of breadfruit, potatoes, cakes, cookies, pies, candies, sweet drinks, and certain fruits. And we're talking about reduction, we're talking about modifying your diet as opposed to completely alleviating those things from your diet, but certainly modifying them in some ways. In addition to that, salt intake is critically important in reducing the likelihood of developing hypertension or controlling your blood pressure.
This initiative was made possible by the Ministry of Health in the Nevis Island Administration. The group of 3 began seeing patients from Thursday, October 24, 2019. Dr. Rouse also spoke about some of the changes he would like to see from the public at large in trying to curb circulatory disorders, which could lead to heart attacks and stroke that is currently affecting 1/3 of the population.
I would love to see you all build upon what you're already doing. That is, people being more physically active. But in addition to that, the Health Promotion Unit and Ministry of Health have some initiatives in reducing the amount of carbs, reducing the amount of bad eating habits that lead to these kinds of diseases. So I'd love to see those kinds of things implemented on a large scale to every community in the Nevis and St. Kitts area. All of the expats and the Nevisians, the administration, everybody, every facet of the community should be engaged in those types of behaviors.
Cardiologist Dr. Charlie Rouse. Other activities included a mini-chef academy with the students and parents of the Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School and the Joyce Liebert Primary School on Thursday evening, October 24th. On October 25th, 2019, cardiac screening was conducted at Alexandra Hospital, as well as a workshop for workers of the Flamboyant Nursing Home, Community Health Nurses, and Social Services Senior Division. As the Ministry and Department of Agriculture here in Nevis continues to promote healthy eating, organizations here on the island are also playing their role in promoting this healthy lifestyle. The One Love Rastafari movement, located in Fountain Village, will be having a Thanksgiving ceremony on Tuesday, 29th October at the St. James's Primary School. The organization, in collaboration with the Natural Livity Holistic Foundation over the past 2 years, has helped to develop a garden at the school where, according to co-chair of the organization, Mr. Delroy Ras Iroy Pinning, the students of the school care for the garden.
This is really why this project is different to any other project, in that the success of this garden over the past years. One, it's an organic garden, strictly organic. We use no artificial chemicals. The children own the garden, and so they are responsible for the planting and the maintenance of the plants, from planting the seed, nurturing it, harvesting it, taking it to the kitchen, and then having it on their plate, and they even get the excess to take home. And so a child with that level of experience really understands food production and where their food comes from. I think it is something that really falls in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, with all of our objectives in terms of healthy eating what you grow. And here's a great example, because a child who would have gone through that experience of planting a seed and then being able to eat the produce is a lifetime lesson being taught right there.
The ceremony is geared towards thanking all the stakeholders for the role they played in the project and to showcase the garden.
Of recent, we would have sought the assistance of some of our stakeholders within the community, because we realized the project needed some expansion. And so there are some persons and business establishments out there in the community who would have come to our assistance. We have TDC, we have the St. Kitts Nevis Development Bank, we have the Nevis Car Rental, we have Nisbet Plantation, and then a few individuals, of course, would have given up their time. And so we would basically be saying thanks to these sponsors at the school at 2:30 in the afternoon. And we'd also give a chance for them to see where their contributions, monies, and equipment would have been put to good use.
Delroy Ras Iroy Pinning. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio, or our Vaughan Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Life can be more fulfilling when we take the time out to smell the roses. And that's why your friends and family at the Bank of Nevis are experts at picking the flowers that best describe you. Whether you're planning to treat yourself after a long work week or finally getting around to that closet update, you deserve all the special things that life has to offer. And the Bond Visa card is here to help you achieve it. With just a swipe, you can turn a last-minute lunch date with friends and family into something worth remembering, with memories that will last a lifetime. Pampering yourself just got a whole lot easier. And after all, you deserve every refreshing moment of it. The ability to make your travel arrangements at your own convenience, whether by sea or by air, now rests within the palm of your hand. With a single swipe, the Bond Visa card can put a world of difference between life and truly living. Whereas the only limits you may have is your own imagination. Apply today. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
News in detail. Out of the U.S. Virgin Islands. An audit made public by the Office of the Inspector General OIG on Friday unearthed what many Virgin Islanders had long suspected but never had proof to back up the claims that fraud, waste and abuse were rampant in the executive branch of the government of the Virgin Islands, with government officials outstepping their authority when spending taxpayer dollars. VI Consortium says, though the scope of the audit was fiscal years 2013 through 2016, the OIG retrieved records dating back to 2002. In the audit's executive summary, the OIG found that there were no uniform regulations governing the use of credit cards and lines of credit. There were no internal controls to govern the use of accountability of credit transactions. As much as $1.1 million in credit transactions were not protected from fraud, waste and abuse, and travel expenses were incurred without authorization, etc. According to the VI Consortium, the audit reads in part, and I quote, "We found that the executive branch did not have uniform regulations to procure and govern the use of credit cards and lines of credit. Specifically, there were no regulations to govern, at a minimum, how agencies entered into credit agreements, lines of credit, and the number of credit cards." The OIG attributed these conditions to the lack of established regulations in the Department of Finance and Property and Procurement on how executive branch agencies obtained and controlled credit cards and lines of credit. Out of Puerto Rico. Details have been unveiled regarding a $20 billion plan to strengthen and modernize the U.S. territory's shaky power grid. Puerto Rico is mired in a 13-year recession and is struggling to recover from Hurricane Maria, which ravaged the country in September 2017 and caused more than an estimated $100 billion in damage. The 10-year plan announced on last Thursday aims to bury power lines, increase the use of natural gas, and create a transmission and distribution system that will withstand winds of at least 160 miles per hour instead of 145 miles per hour. Since the passage of Maria, there have been recurrent power outages. At least 60% of the estimated $20 billion will be used for transmission and distribution repairs, officials said. They expect federal funds will cover at least $13 billion of the overall cost. By year's end, the government expects to choose a company that will take over the transmission and distribution of Puerto Rico's electric power authority, which is some $9 billion in debt. Details of the plan were released the same week that Puerto Rico's electric power company said a regulatory agency ordered a rate hike increase that goes into effect November 1st. NBCnews.com says Puerto Rico's Governor Vanda Vasquez disagrees that the increase and she plans to fight it. And finally, Health officials in Dominica are reporting an outbreak of dengue fever in Dominica. According to statistics from the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. David Johnson, the number of admissions and hospitalization associated with the disease has been climbing since the start of September 2019. In an interview with the state-owned DBS Radio, Johnson explained that people presenting with the mosquito-borne disease range between the ages of 1 and 20 years. He said while there have been 5 cases that required intensive care, no one has died, noting that the Ministry of Health wants to ensure that no one dies as a result of the disease. Dengue is a flu-like illness that affects infants, young children, and adults. Symptoms typically begin 4 to 10 days after infection and include a high fever, headache, vomiting, muscle and joint pains, and a characteristic skin rash. And that's it for the regional stories. Stay with us for news from around the world. Welcome back, and now to international news in detail. The fugitive leader of the Islamic State IS group killed himself during a U.S. military operation in northwest Syria, President Donald Trump has said. Speaking from the White House, Mr. Trump said Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi detonated his suicide vest after fleeing into a tunnel chased by U.S. military dogs. Baghdadi came to prominence in 2014 when he announced the creation of a caliphate in areas of Iraq and Syria. IS carried out multiple atrocities that resulted in thousands of deaths. The jihadist group imposed a brutal rule in the areas under its control and was behind many attacks around the world. Although the U.S. declared the caliphate defeated earlier this year, IS militants remain active in the region and elsewhere. Baghdadi's death is a major victory for Mr. Trump as he faces heavy criticism for his decision to pull U.S. troops out of the northern Syria and fights an impeachment inquiry launched by Democrats. EU leaders have agreed in principle to extend Brexit until 31st January 2020, meaning the UK will not leave as planned on Thursday. EU Council President Donald Tusk said it was a flex tension, meaning the UK could leave before the deadline if a deal was approved by Parliament. It comes as MPs prepare to vote on proposals by Boris Johnson for an early general election on 12 December. The SNP and Lib Dems have also proposed an election on 9 December. A number 10 source said the government would introduce a bill almost identical to the Lib Dem SNP option on Tuesday if Labour voted their plan down later, and we will have a pre-Christmas election anyway. The UK was due to have the EU on Thursday, but Mr. Johnson was required to request an extension after Parliament failed to agree to a Brexit deal. The Prime Minister had repeatedly said UK would leave on the 31st October deadline with or without a deal, but the law known as the Ben Act requires him to accept the EU's extension officer. And finally, a lorry driver has appeared in court charged with the manslaughter of 39 people found dead in a refrigerated trailer in Essex. The bodies were found in a container in the early hours of Wednesday on an industrial estate in Grays. Maurice Robinson of Northern Ireland was remanded in custody at Chelmsford Magistrates Court. Writing in a book of condolence, Prime Minister Boris Johnson said the world had been shocked by this tragedy. We have more in this BBC report.
The hearing lasted just 5 minutes. Maurice Robinson appeared on a video link and was wearing a police-issue grey sweatshirt. He confirmed his name, date of birth and address in Northern Ireland and said his nationality was British. He was told he faces 39 charges of manslaughter of unknown people, 31 are men and 8 are women. He's also charged with conspiracy to traffic people, conspiracy to assist unlawful immigration and 2 money laundering offences. District Judge Timothy King said he would remain in prison until his next court appearance on the 25th of November.
And that brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
Hello? Joan, did you remember that pink is in at TDC Home and Building Depots?
It's that time again? It sure is. This October, they have up to 75% off in their pink ribbon clearance sale. And don't forget, every October, TDC Home and Building Depots have free breast screenings every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And you can also support their Cook for the Cure barbecue events while you're there, you know. Plus, they have Pinktober specials all month long, so we can shop early and save.
So this October, think pink, think TDC Home and Building Depots?
That's right. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Welcome back. Another sports in detail. In basketball, Jamal Green did not mince words after the Warriors lost 120-92 to the Thunder on Sunday. Dennis Schroeder scored 22 points to help Oklahoma City rout the Golden State Warriors 120-92 on Sunday for their first victory of the season. The Warriors still have a lot to figure out. Stephen Curry scored 23 points on Sunday, making 7 of 18 shots, while his teammates made just 23 of 74. Golden State was coming off a season-opening home loss to the Los Angeles Clippers. It was a long-time-awaited ray of hope for fans who have been looking for something to cling to after the Thunder traded away longtime star Russell Westbrook for Chris Paul in the offseason. The blowout matched Oklahoma City's largest margin of victory over the Warriors since the franchise moved from Seattle before the 2008 to 2009 season. NBA.com says the Warriors have looked flat to open the 2019-2020 season. In local cricket, the Sports Department Development Bank Tape Ball Cricket Tournament continued at the E.T. Willett Park on the evening of Sunday, 27th October. In Game 1, All Stars came up against Calypso, All Stars winning comprehensively by 10 wickets. Still in local sports, Round 4 of the ongoing Ministry of Education Department of Youth and Sports Football Tournament was played at the E.T. Willett Park on Friday, 25th October. Ivor Walters Primary beat the Mudcross Preparatory School with a margin of 8-0. The summary of matches played is as follows: Charleston Primary 2 versus St. Thomas's Primary 1. Elizabeth Pemberton Primary 2 versus Nevis Academy 0. Joyce Library Primary 5 versus VOJN Primary 1. Next matches will be held on Tuesday, 29th October and will feature the Mudcross Preparatory and Nevis Academy at 1:30 p.m. The St. Thomas's Primary versus VOJN Primary at 3 p.m. and Charleston Primary versus the Ivor Walters Primary. And finally, in cricket, Antigua and Barbuda defeated St. Kitts to capture the Leeward Islands 50-over tournament in Antigua. Antigua and Barbuda scored 284 in the allotted 50 overs, with Raheem Cornwall top scoring for his side with 59 runs, while Sheeno Burridge getting 4 wickets. St. Kitts, who defeated Nevis in the semi-finals, was only able to score 243 runs in the allotted 50 overs. Terence Ward top scored for St. Kitts with 77 runs, while Justin Athanaze picked up 5 wickets. Summarized scores: Antigua and Barbuda 284 for 9 in 50 overs. Raheem Cornwall 59, Elroy Francis Jr. 38, Sheena Burridge 4 wickets. St. Kitts 243 for 9 in 50 overs. Terence Ward 77, Damian Jacobs 48, Justin Athanaze 5 wickets. And that's it for sports. The General Weather Report is next. Welcome back. Another look over the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. There will be fair to partly cloudy skies tonight with a 20% or slight chance of a brief shower. There will be partly sunny skies in general tomorrow with a 20% or slight chance of a brief shower. Winds are east to northeast at 22 to 33 kilometers per hour or 12 to 18 knots. Seas are a combination of waves and northeasterly swells reaching as high as 2.8 meters or 9 feet. As a result, a high surf warning remains in effect mainly for the north and eastern coastlines of the islands. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:07 a.m. And that's a wrap up the major news package for today, Monday, 28th October 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at headlines once again. Nationally, 11 police officers complete computer training course. And Ministry of Agriculture raises concerns over food wastage in St. Kitts. Regionally, audit reveals decades of government waste in USVI. Internationally, IS leader dead after U.S. raid in Syria, says President Donald Trump. And in sports, Oklahoma Thunder beats Warriors and records their first victory for the season. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tashan Tyson, wishing you a pleasant evening.